You're listening to The Kick on Longbox.FM. The Kick is for an adult audience. The Kick may contain certain material that may be unsuitable for sensitive ears. Listener discretion is advised.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Car ma vie, car mes joies, aujourd'hui.
News, politics, and discussion. This is The Kick.
What you say, what you say, what you say, what? Well, come like a boy.
And it's back, The Kick here at Longbox.FM Studios, brought to you, of course, by Riley's Brewing.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
There he is.
Thank you, Dan.
Brought to you so much, he's actually here. He brought the beer tonight in person and decided to stick around and do a show with us, I believe.
Why not?
Yeah, it's funny how those things all work out. So anyway, it's the Kick here, Longbox.FM. You can, we'll be talking news, politics discussion, all that fun stuff. This is a little bit more serious show than you're used to on our Wednesday nights, and we would love to get you to participate. And we try to find topics that are going to piss people off. So
Super serious.
you can call in. 492-0450. You can hit us up on the live tweeting that Vanna is doing, Longbox.FM, at Longbox.FM. And then, of course, you can join us in the chat room. You can Skype with us, Longbox. Everything, just look, Longbox.FM.
You can
It's
stand
easy.
outside the bay window here and scream at us from outside.
I would like people with signs one day.
That would
just
be great.
yeah, protesting us
Yeah,
outside.
we haven't been
Just a mob
protested
of
yet.
picketers.
This is disappointing.
Yeah, we need to step up our game, and hopefully with this show we can get those picketers going.
Yeah.
We hate
friends.
babies. Let's start there.
That's a good starting place.
No, we like him. Little barbecue sauce.
Hey, well, you know,
That's not
He
the new
raises.
beer, is it?
absolutely.
Anyways, as you know, we got our show here, The Kick. We got Vanna and Ben and Kevin with us. Kevin, I know real quick before we get going too deep on this, you had something you want to bring up?
Yeah. I know last week I had to take off at 9 o'clock, and I know that I also took on quite a bit of hate as well, which is okay. That's kind of what my position was for. I probably should have clarified before we got into it with everybody that as a libertarian, I don't give a flying shit what anybody does or identifies with or chooses to do. That is the glory of freedom. You don't have the right to make me pay for it, though. So that's where my personal qualm comes in. But other than that, do whatever the hell you want and enjoy your life doing it.
I mean, live and let live, right?
Exactly. And to the only thing I was disappointed about was having to leave early because there was still a lot left that I didn't get to talk about. There's things specifically about the transgender stuff, like laws that have been put into place, New York City stuff, some pretty Orwellian.
And then there was the backyard fire dancing circle where we all just danced around half naked screaming, "We hate Kevin."
I missed that one too. But that would have been awkward if I was there.
Especially if you were joining in.
And again, Ben, you have proved my point too. My next part was on interrupting, because last week we had a crap ton of interruption, and we kind of tend to go into circles this way when people just chase each other's responses. So I'm going to say here from on out, if someone is making a point and they say something that you're like, ooh, I got to jump on that, don't. Write it down and come back to it when there's a pause in the break. Because a lot of times people's trains of thought gets derailed and then we end up just going in circles again.
I think Kevin's mad over last week.
He is.
Oh, obviously that's what I'm conveying.
I'm fencing
He
an aura.
had to
I just feel
introduce a
his
new
aura.
rule on the air, man.
Here it is. Yeah, my new rule is don't interrupt people.
I can see that lasting 10 minutes.
10 minutes. And lastly, wow, this is just the jab back, I suppose. When I mentioned the report from the guy Hugh last week, there was a little bit of a jump on the guy as well as me, and there was a statement that the report had been discredited, and if it has, wonderful, but just stating it does not discredit it. So there must be a backup to the argument. However, I wasn't expecting her to have that kind of homework with her, so I took off the report as any kind of evidence that I was going to bring to the table because I'm not an expert in the subject. But I really would like to have Karen back on, as I said when I was leaving, because there's plenty left to talk about that I would really like to get into. So, Karen and friends, please join us. You can hate me after I state everything. Just don't hate me yet. Just be fair.
Well, to understand what he's talking about, if you haven't listened last week's show, we had Karen Adele Scott coming in. She is a transgender woman, and we discussed. Obviously, we had a whole thing about transgender lifestyle, but the Orlando shooting obviously took precedence, and that's what we led with last week. But she was a fantastic guest, and we ended up hanging out a couple hours after the show.
Yeah,
deep. There's so much to her. So many onion or layers to that onion right there.
And I'm not saying I don't feel like I didn't get a chance to speak. I said, I feel like I was on it as much as I could have been or should have been. There was just more to go, and not the time that I wanted, which was 2 or 3 more hours. I mean, we can go on forever on those kind of subjects, but hell yeah, when she gets back, it's going to be a good show. And let's move on to this week.
Let's talk about, this week's show. We got our guest now. Obviously, you know him from every week. On every show that we do, we drink him. It's Mr. Dan Riley, owner of Riley's Brewing and Steel Structures, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Give us a little bit of history background about you.
Well, I was born at a very young age, and up in Oregon. Anyway, Central Valley, quick history, served 6 years in the military, grew up in a family business, have a welding shop, Steel Structures in Madera, employ about 30-some-odd people, have Riley's Brewing, which currently employs we have about 8 people. We're running product on the brewing side from Lake Tahoe now all the way down to the Grapevine and picking up a few other spots on the East Coast. We Steel Structures, we ship all the way out of the country. I got stuff in Guam and Barbados with hangar doors and pressure vessels. We do a lot of ASME work, and I am just an all-around nice guy, I like to think.
Definitely. You've always been a pleasure. Well, it's been over a year now. You've been a pleasure to be hanging around with since Longbox came back online.
Yes, sir.
So, well, we got a bunch of stories that we wanted to talk about tonight, specifically with you, Dan. That's coming up here in the next segment. We talking about high-speed rail and how Michelle Obama's trying to bend you over.
Oh.
That's got to be comfortable.
And if you tie in last week's show, that could be awkward. So
yeah, she's a burly man.
Well, one of the things that I did want to do on the show, and again, it's still in its infancy stage, running some news, getting more topics in. So let's fast forward through a few topics that I was reading through. I have been getting a lot, and if you want, you can send them to the Kick, you can send them to Longbox.FM on Facebook, or you can send them to me or any of our Facebook pages. We look over everything and figure out what makes the most sense, what enrages us the most.
Ooh, I like this.
So
like lightning round,
kind of
the news. Cool.
First story that I decided to pull up for this. Apparently, obviously, there was a terrible attack last Sunday in Orlando, and we all know that Captain McAsshat went and shot up a gay club, Pulse, and killed 49.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch made it publicly known that the tapes, the 911 tapes, that when he called in, are going to be made public.
Yeah. Oh.
Except they're scrubbing any references to Islam or the Islamic State, ISIS, off of the tape.
And for what fucking purpose?
No, why would they ever do that?
Well,
one might think.
And this is where, and we didn't get to talk about it last week, but it was something that did piss me off a lot. Obama said that we are not going to reference this because we do not want to further the agenda of said parties. And this, again, the same commander-in-chief that also calls ISIS ISIL, because, again, he doesn't want Syria attached to the name.
Yeah.
So maybe he's smarter than all of us, or just...
He knows something.
Don't they always?
Now, it was widely known that the terrorist, Captain McAss, had pledged allegiance to the ISIS during the phone call and claimed, I'm doing this for them.
I think it's pronounced Captain McAss.
Again, the call came in. It's been transcribed. It's out there, but everything washed off that had to do with they took those words away. Mm-hmm. Which, at what point does this come down to like white cop shoots black guy? Can we scrub out white cop?
No, the white cop stays in.
Can we pixelate his face so we don't know who he is?
It's add the word racist in front of the white, and then privileged after the white.
Okay. The racist privileged white cop. White privileged cop shoots black man.
That's it.
It wasn't even a black man. It's
You've got every headline that CNN loves.
But I think that, like, this country, if you really think about it, this country, and a lot of countries now, just with the rise of information and technology and the way that everything spreads as fast and as far as it does on a daily basis, I mean, you can hear news from around the world in 30 seconds. I mean, as soon as something breaks, you hear about it.
It's on Facebook,
Whereas 20 years
Instagram.
ago, I mean,
Yeah.
news took a while to travel. But I think what it is right now, we are so inundated with information. I mean, if you look at Facebook on any given day of the week now, all of the desensitized shit that we see on there. I mean, you got kids who are getting beat up in the hallways at their school. You know what I mean? You've got girls who are just dressed in skimpy ass clothing. And listen, these kids are feeding off of a very primitive and primal nature, and I think it just gets younger and younger and younger as the years go by. But I think there's something inherently wrong with scrubbing out anything that had to do with the manifest of what he was trying to accomplish, because I think that you need to know that kind of stuff. If you're willing to watch a kid beat up another kid in a school hallway, and you're willing to watch, teenage girls jump around on a trampoline in skimpy clothing just because it's on Facebook, and there's a
start that
very
show.
slim margin of what can go on there now. I mean, it seems like the line is very thin
Yeah, you
and
ever-
almost non-existent.
Have you
But
read
I mean,
1984?
But if you,
Oh man.
Have you read 1984?
Yeah.
You know what the guy's job was? He was to whitewash all the news reports and change
Right.
the titles to make it beneficial for the
Of
state.
course, and art imitating life, imitating art at some point. But I guess the point to what I'm saying is this: if you're going to desensitize yourself to any point, I think that you need to really stay in tune with what's actually out there. And I think that we need to be allowed to hear that, because we need to know whether or not it's not up to the news or the government to tell us who this guy was. It's up to us to make an accurate opinion of who he is based on what he actually said, his true actions, his true words, 100% unfiltered. And let's not beat around the bush. Everything that's going on right now is being filtered through the media, and it's what they want us to see.
Well, you just described the absolute purpose of the free press. The entire point of going out and being a journalist yourself, seeking truth, and being able to express that truth to others.
Absolutely.
I disagree with what you said.
Please.
I feel like social media and stuff like that, yeah, it's desensitizing people, but for the most part, it's also liberating people in many ways. I don't know if you guys remember when Mike Brown that first came on. I was watching like Periscope. You were actually able to be in the riots. I went to the Trump rally, and I protested as part of Republicans Against Trump. And I really wish that I had the opportunity to Periscope it, because I actually kind of got in front of the one person who got arrested there, and they blew up the story. For the 3 minutes of chaos that there was, the rest of it was peaceful. So if you don't have that live first account media, I feel like it does more good than harm.
But what I'm saying is, to clarify, what I'm saying is, if you are going to upload videos of guys getting in street fights and people falling off bridges to their deaths, if you're going to be one of the contributors to the desensitizing, side of social media, then
Don't cry foul when something truly offensive
when
happens.
somebody turns around and it's actually something that's tragic and something that's going to infect an entire cross-section of the world, don't whitewash it and say, well, look, we're just going to take this out because we don't want you to hear it, because you probably can already generate your own opinion. No, I want to generate my opinion on the entire truth, not 80% of it, not 90% of it.
I think you got
It
something
comes
too.
down to people.
Yeah, I think it's desensitized people to the level now that it needs a baseball bat to get a shock value.
Yeah.
So before, the 1920s, you saw a girl's ankle, you're like, wow. When a miniskirt came out, bikini was named after the island of nuclear bomb. Now a woman could walk down the street naked, and you're like, eh.
Yeah.
You might get some attention. Most people be like, okay, and they might snap a picture and laugh, and you could move on, and it wouldn't even be disturbing. Yeah. And so now you get these events like at the rally, whatever it is, and you would have kids beating up themselves or somebody shooting, and it just doesn't have enough shock value.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things. We're desensitized to the point shock almost doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I have an issue with the live tweeting stuff. You want to see what happens live, yet you don't know the credentials or the message behind the person holding that phone.
Certainly.
No, but that's why you take multiple accounts and develop and develop your own opinion.
Because it's setups.
Well,
you got to
any
seek out
major
your
event.
sources. I mean, as many as you can. Like me, for example, I don't just follow like one person. I follow both sides of the argument. You know, like I was also following people who were in support of Trump just to see what it was like, you know, inside. And, you know, there's so many outlets out there. You can really make your own educated opinion if you just try.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, you actually, all it really takes is that tiny amount of willpower to do it.
No, I'm young America. I want it to be spoon fed to me and do it quick in between commercial breaks on Teenage Mom.
Welcome to Banana
Yeah.
Republic.
Okay,
I want to
it's
watch
OG
one
Teen
news
Mom.
station. Just one. That's it. Nothing else.
That's
I
it.
don't want any opinions.
Right.
Just one. Or read one newspaper. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
going from that story, obviously, everybody's got their panties all twisted up about assault weapons and guns in general. So while doing some show stuff for tonight, found there is a petition out there. If you want to go to petitions.moveon.org, you can search and find it yourself. I don't care. But assault weapons should not be used by civilians and have no place in our cities and towns. Currently, 583,000 signatures, and they start off the message with Orlando, Sandy Hook, Aurora, San Bernardino. What do these horrific shootings have in common? Assault weapons. And so now they're taking this to the government to get them to sign a bill, which is the left side's been pushing forever to get rid of all of assault weapons.
A little more in common than just this assault weapons.
Yeah.
Let's,
You know,
let's not just tag it on one thing here.
Yeah, they're all gun-free zones.
Yeah, that's another one.
Gun-free America.
Yeah.
All I heard was after 350,000. Was that 350,000?
383,000 people
300
signing, saying that they want this done.
Good
so
for them.
300 some odd thousand people who are volunteering to become new citizens of New Zealand or something.
Yeah, or 353,000 people who get to vote again on which one of them get to actually go take away the gun from the guy that's willing to die with it in his hands. So there's another. Have fun with that vote, because you guys can do all you want, signing petitions and shit, but you don't vote on rights. Period.
Yeah.
You have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to level the playing field with whatever your enemy has. You have a right to bear arms. It's not limited to muskets or knives or your fists.
Just hand batons out to all the police.
Yeah. And they're on the terrorist watch list. So let's go back. So right now we have at least 2 or 3 accounts of somebody who's already breaking the law. So instead of introducing more law, which I understand, and I could be wrong, that the Republicans and Democrats locked that up today, nobody could get anything passed. If I understand the bills that were set in the Senate, but if we would have enforced the laws that are already in place, that whole incident would have been avoided. So let's enforce what's already in place before we create new laws, because it's obvious now that we don't have the competency to even keep track of that.
In the news, Senate rejects 4 gun proposals inspired by Orlando attack.
Right. I saw that. 2 were Republican and 2 were Democrat. So essentially, they couldn't even get 60 people on either side. I personally believe that whole thing was just a show to let people know, we're going to do something. In reality, no side wanted anything done, or they could have got 60 votes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough Democrats to get that alone.
Yeah.
So they couldn't even get their own party behind it. That was a show. People just wanted to say, look, we're all doing something. Both sides wanted to say, yeah, we're involved. Reality, now it's put to bed because they're all going to say we couldn't pass anything. It was all the other side's fault. Everybody gets to go home neutral, and now the incident's over.
Yeah.
And politics at its best.
It's like when the boss is around, you look busy.
Yeah, it's like I remember when the Republican was speaking. I saw the president speaking. I saw a bunch of other people talking about this event, and I heard blame it on the president. I heard blame it on the FBI. The FBI says, well, we're totally underfunded. Give us more money. We don't have enough people to enforce all these things. I heard blame. When it was all said and done, the only thing I didn't hear, which I started listening for, was nobody blamed the shooter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody blamed his agenda.
Yep.
Right.
Everything else but that.
He couldn't help himself.
Yeah.
America forced that upon him.
Of course.
Right?
That's what drives me
It's
nuts.
cultural. It's institutionalized racism.
There's no self-accountability these days. There really isn't.
Well, let's move on to Captain McAsshat's father, which, tell me if this sounds familiar. Sadiq Mateen, the father of this guy, made several advocacy trips to the nation's capital over the last few years. The latest was in 2015. He met with a bunch of people from the House of Representatives to talk about, who knows, but he was in there hanging out. Sorry, I'm not that great on the news. But yeah, he's been a part. He's been lobbying in some senses. He's running currently for president of Afghanistan.
This is a pretty high standard moral guy.
He did put out the post, God will punish those involved in homosexuality. And this happened after Sunday. So, still holding on to that hard party line right there.
A little too soon, Mateen.
He's got a YouTube channel, then you can search that all on your own. I don't want to promote or support that ass out. But yeah, guys being apart, shaking hands with those up on top who are trying to pass those laws supposedly for guns, and backdoor handshakes. A little bit of Osama bin Laden.
I think what you're leaning towards is that the government is corrupt, and that is a stance that I just cannot get behind, sir.
Yeah, I won't tolerate it.
There's no way. There's no way.
I always say follow the money.
Yeah.
Where money, there's power.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you
follow
talk
the oil.
Talk about the Afghan-American ties.
I don't even think this is about oil.
Well, oil usually is money, and you see where the money and conflict and... Now, I'm sorry, I'm pulling out my tinfoil. By the way, the show's sponsored by tinfoil. Get it? Wear it. It's a good look. Helps keep those beams out of your head and also the sprays from the airplanes above.
Thanks, Reynolds.
Reflects the hot summer sun, too.
Again, if you want to participate in anything tonight, 492-0450, or you can Skype in, Longbox.FM, or talk to Vanna. She'll be in the chat room and live tweeting. Next story, we got Donald Trump. Now, of course, Donald Trump has not been known to be a guy to jump on board some recent event to capitalize, but he did in this case. He put out a tweet saying, "Thank you to the LGBT community. I will fight for you while Hillary brings in more people that will threaten your freedoms and beliefs."
Yeah.
That's just stirring the pot even more. That's
hard,
just, let's
hard
just
jab
keep
right
the
there.
rumor mill going.
Yeah.
Keep the hate up. Keep that hate up, Donald Trump.
Well, the point of the whole
Push to
story
November.
is they're talking about how there's actually a growing number of gay and lesbian voters supporting Trump, but actually fearful of outwardly supporting because they say in one tweet, it's easier to come out of the closet. It's dangerous to come out as a Trump supporter.
It is.
It is.
That's been done on purpose, absolutely.
Admit that you're gay? Easy.
No,
Admit that you like Trump? Fuck.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, it's been purposely. His entire campaign, the media on almost both sides, and I haven't followed it very much, but from what I hear everywhere else, it is almost a political death sentence to support Trump without being like having all the fervor and foam and shit coming out of your mouth at the same time. It has been one character assassination after the next. Now, I'm not supporting the guy. I don't vote. But to not be able to see what has happened to this particular election and to think that it's unique, that, Trump is a racist, misogynist, patriarchal. He's been in the limelight for 20 plus years of his life, and it wasn't until he ran against the Democrats that he's now the most hated man in America. And people they're kind of just washed up into what they're told once again, and there's this huge cyclone of just hate. And you ask anybody that's an anti-Trump, anti-Trump or Trump protester, they won't be able to tell you why. They just know that they hate him.
And the thing is, but everybody gets caught up. Everybody's caught up in the rhetoric of, Trump and the misogynistic remarks and the racist remarks or the borderline racist. Because, the guy's not going to turn around and straight up, throw some slang terms around when he's referring to people. But he's definitely going to say, well, listen, these people over here, all of these brown people, they're bad. So we got to build a wall to keep out more of these people. We got to tighten up our borders. We got to build the walls higher. People just get cut, like you said, it's a cyclone. It really is. It's a spin cycle of everything that's been swirling around him. And again, with you, I don't support him. What I think that people don't realize, though, is that at some point there is going to be these events like Orlando last weekend where it just became this thing that all of a sudden now you have another way to divide people. The world is becoming such a divisive place, and we are looking at everything in very categorized and boxed off terms. And, this section is black. These people are gay. I am white. And if I am looked at as white and if I am recognized as white, I am privileged in some damn way. We look at these things, we label everything, and we make it incredibly vocal when we label everything and we say, look, now Orlando has happened. So everybody, every gay person who is scared for their lives and is scared to, walk the streets or whatever the case may be, they're now looking for the next fix. They're looking for the next best thing. You're playing on very, very basic and very, very primal fears because you're saying, look, if this club shooting could happen in Orlando, it could happen in San Francisco. It It could happen in New Orleans. It could happen in Dallas. It could happen anywhere.
Yeah, bad things can happen.
And
Absolutely.
it's going to happen. But the more that we perpetuate the fear cycle, the more you're going to divide people, the more people are going to start latching on to, whatever's
somebody
out there,
who
the
comes
next
along
big
and
thing,
says they can fix it.
Trump is just one of the many ladders that these people can climb to safety.
Okay. Dividing voice here.
You're right.
Is there any Trump supporters in the room?
No.
Anyone throwing the vote down?
I'm going to have to say yes.
Here it goes.
Here it goes. And I'm ready for it, and I've heard it. But that's all right. Because I spar with some of my coworkers over the fun of it. And there's times I'll switch sides just to see if we can find a better argument. It's fun to do. And you say, all right, hey, that's a good one. Let's look up the answer, A couple reasons is, well, one, the thought as a business owner. So I'm going to be selfish. As a business owner who has about 40 families under his belt. Now, I'm just going to say people. There's families. I mean, there's wives, there's kids. People rely upon me making good decisions so that I can provide food for their family and clothing and everything else.
Yeah.
As a businessman, looking at Hillary and Trump, to me, there's no question. What Trump wants to do in a lot of aspects absolutely is for business. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever it is. If you're a business owner, he will be good for you in the direction you're going. That's really that's part of my biggest reason. I've heard I employ a lot of Hispanics at my shop, and actually I'm surprised at the number of them that support him.
Oh yeah.
And I just was blown away because at politics you really get nervous about saying anything at work, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Especially
I have
as a boss.
the lunchroom's kind of talking, and then I kind of hear about some of the stuff going on, and then I just had to pop my head and say, well, okay, what's going on? So I have one that's a homosexual, and I have a lot of Hispanics, and their argument on that case was, I did it right. I'm here correct. I'm paying my taxes. They're not. Mm-hmm. The services that we did, we're working hard. They're not. A lot of the problems that come in, it's theirs. I was recently at San Antonio for the NASCAR race that we sponsor, and I was surprised down there. There's still people getting their heads cut off at the border. We don't even hear about it up here, and the drug cartel are still using mules coming across the border down there, the south part, and people are getting their heads cut off for purpose.
99 Freeway 99 is a major drug trafficking freeway.
Absolutely, and that was one of their arguments. This isn't me. This is them speaking, as a lot of them from Guatemala, from Panama, from Mexico, saying one of the reasons they want to see that wall. First of all, it would save lives. Their own people would save lives because then they couldn't just throw stuff on their back and take them across the wall. The other one is if people come here legally, of course they'd pay their taxes, they'd have a ID number, and maybe it'd stop a lot of the guys who are sneaking away from crimes they've committed all the way down south to just get away.
Mm-hmm.
I was
keep our bad in, keep their bad out.
Yeah, I guess. I was just surprised to hear that, and I just didn't. I wouldn't have thought about it as me. Obviously, I've gone to Mexico and everything else, but I'm not part of that culture. I would have never thought about it. I just wouldn't have expected. And then, of course, in the other one, it's just going right after Orlando, and then having Trump say there should be no gun-free zones. Give us the chance. This is just France again. Yeah. I even brought my little list here for it of where all the zones are, and you go down the list, and guess where all the shootings are?
Yeah,
exactly. So then give us the chance to shoot back.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the fair. If you take away all of our guns, let's look at the history of what happens to countries that take away their guns. I did some history, and a friend of mine's from the UK. And in the UK, the cops can't even carry guns.
Yeah.
Violent crimes, I actually pulled up, which I was amazed finding reports on the internet. Almost all of them are wrong. So you have to actually go to the FBI pages to actually see what it is, because all kinds of people have agendas. But I found out, that the UK, actually, according to their own list, that violent crimes are way up, especially the last 6 years.
Yeah, knife crimes and home invasions particularly are out of control.
Smash and grabs.
People can't defend themselves.
No, and with a huge Muslim population in there, again, most of them good. Not gonna get down that road, but that's a major concern to them right now because it's becoming like France. Yeah. There's riots and there's the little fights about.
In England, England is a huge waypoint. I think I've mentioned this before on a previous show. I might have been a different conversation. But England, coming from the Middle East, and when you get all the way out to England, like literally you're on the last island before America. So everybody's just getting bottlenecked there, getting their papers, waiting on everything to kind of settle in, and everything just kind of it's like a bottleneck in traffic. Mm-hmm. Everything just kind of gets stopped up at one point, and then they just springboard on the planes and they head this way.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of friends friends that are Muslim as well too, especially in farming. A lot of good, hardworking, Hindus, Muslims, and so forth from the country. Families out there in the fields, good people. And they said they've actually got their own little sub-police, if you will, that goes to the mosque to make sure they weed out their own extremists to the best they can.
Yeah,
it is that bad.
There should probably be more stories of that going out, because there is a massive, kind of hate brewing just across the board. And I wouldn't say that the Orlando shooting is any different with the father that's got so many ties, and the fact that he called 911 and spoke directly exactly what his agenda was.
The Orlando shooting was just a bump.
Is that anything?
Yeah.
I mean, that's very similar to like the passport being found on the 9/11 Ground Zero. Like the whole building got pulverized into dust, and the passport survived the fires that were hot enough to burn steel. Like, the guy called 911. Oh, well, that's a smoking gun right there. Like there's, of course, a lot of questionable shit that's taking place, especially after all the information stuff that's come out after the shooting of people like eyewitness accounts talking about, bullets not being able to be fired in that amount of time, or how the cops very well might have gone in and shot up more people themselves just from the SWAT team going in.
Crossfire,
just shooting into the crowd. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
To go back on the point of the story here with Trump. Sorry, I missed the front page of it. The whole thing about him and his support and reaching out, obviously, to gay, and now we all know how bad of a guy Trump is, as everyone talks about all the time, and this is kind of what we've been kind of jibber-jabbing about. Gays typically vote Democratic. And stats in the last few years, the 2012 election, 76% of voters who identified as gay voted for Barack Obama. 60% of lesbian, gay people are identified as Democrats, and they found in May 2016, 84% of likely LGBTQ voters preferred Democratic presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton. But it seems like Trump is starting to kind of... Like, if Trump, being who he is pulling more gay over, like he might be doing something right. And the big quote here is, he's the most pro-gay nominee that the party has ever had for president from a Republican aspect. Mm-hmm. Republican is you're straight white male married and goes to church. Yeah. That's it. If you go outside of that norm, you're
dirty
wrong.
commie.
Yeah. But you're exactly right, too, because, again, it goes back to playing on the primal fears. I mean, Trump, since the beginning, has been a spectacle. I mean, obviously, he's got some standpoints that, it's hard to disagree with, I'm not a Trump supporter by any means, but, I mean, if you speak in some common sense in terms of let the people keep their guns. Let's start tightening up on these gun-free zones, and let's really start looking at where our susceptibilities are, where do we feel vulnerable, where can we really start to make some money in terms of defense and protection, and making sure that people's lives aren't in jeopardy on as frequent a basis as they are today. So with things like that, yeah. But I think that, again, we're such a fanatical society now. I think that, again, we're just wrapped up in desensitization. We're wrapped up in spectacle. And I think that, the next biggest thing that comes along and that, harps on the things that we've always wanted to say but never have said. I think that, if I got on the table right now and I had an audience of 10 million people and I just started saying what you guys wanted me to say, I want to hear him say this. I want to hear him say he hates this guy or this guy. I want to hear him talk some shit, and that's what Trump does. Trump talks. He gets out there in the public eye. He plays the marketing. He talks a little shit. And at the end of the day, I think that's ultimately what gets people, is because at the end of the day, he's saying what people want to say. He's saying what people feel. And after the Orlando shooting, I think that there are a lot of people that are starting to gravitate towards, all right, this guy, he actually gets it with the guns. He gets it with the safe zones and the defense and the protection. He gets these aspects of why the shooting happened. And of course, politics being the way they are, a tragedy like this, I mean, yes, the nominees take a day or two off, but then Tuesday morning they jump right back into it, and so they just play up on these emotions that are still relatively fresh. So...
Oh, they're campaigning. They're doing their job.
Never let a good tragedy go to waste.
Well, I know we got two guys in here that have military background, Ben and Dan.
Oh, I was going to say Vanna?
No, well,
Guys.
she's got a secret type of military background.
It's
Not
classified.
allowed to discuss it.
Right.
News out in USA Today, the Army plans to cut 40,000 soldiers from its ranks over the next 2 years. Reduction that will basically virtually affect all of its domestic and foreign posts. They're saying that the troop cut will affect groups in Iraq and Syria. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, there are troops in Iraq, even though we pulled them all out.
Most people would never know that, would you? What do you mean? Obama pulled them out. We're all home. It's over.
Exactly.
We've got troops in every country except for like 4.
Well, it's like when Bush declared, mission accomplished in 2003. A month after everything happened. It's
Whoops.
like, you can't take them at their word
Yeah.
anymore. Just gotta show me the pictures.
Well, they're saying that this will not be quick. It's a long-term campaign, but they are pulling troops out of everywhere. They're making cuts because, shocking, the budget is over, so they can't afford it anymore.
I'll be damned.
They went from 570,000 soldiers just a couple years ago to now they're trying to cut down, like I said, 450,000. If the budget cuts happen, it's set to begin in October. Army would have to slash another 30,000 soldiers. At that level, the Army would not be able to meet its current deployments and respond to demands for troops in other regions.
Sounds like a good idea.
Now we're just stripping away the resources and the bodies out there, which I think we've gone through this, right?
I have a question.
Chris, you don't realize they're stripping away the Army bodies. We still have the Marines, dude.
Has anybody studied Rome?
I got a joke. But hey, go ahead.
Here we go.
Something just started.
Honestly, has anybody studied what happened to Rome
Yes.
and why they fell? Dan, you want to take it away?
The budget was too expensive for HBO, and they had to cancel.
More or less, on a grander
Fat,
scale.
lazy socialism. Don't have to work anymore. Pay them. Here comes the barbarians. Oh, we have no military anymore because we didn't need it.
Oh, what happened to our country? Oh, it's destroyed.
Yeah.
Crumbled on its own
We just followed
weight.
the road.
Yeah.
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 And somebody played a fiddle. I don't know. There was music somewhere.
Sounded nice.
Yeah, it sounded nice.
Nice backlighting.
Yeah. They became a political empire.
They went
And it
from
killed
what,
them.
like, what was the actual number? It was like 3 million to 30,000 or
I
so
don't
in the
know.
course of 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
The population. It was like the number one, basically the superpower of the planet.
Sure.
Down to nothing.
Mediterranean, yeah.
Absolutely
They were
nothing.
opposed to Egypt, which was a badass back then too. Yeah.
And just expanding and expanding and
Reading.
printing more money and inflating in their currency. And then
Well, and this
dust.
is a time where we need terrorism is not an army. So when you have places like ISIS coming up, you need instant reaction time. That's what we could go back to shock troops.
Land the troops and go.
Yeah, we need to have carriers. We need to have the Navy at its finest, so you can leap no matter where you are. You catch a carrier in the middle, you leap right to your next destination. In 24 hours, you can have a division wherever it needs to be.
Yeah.
But it's easier and quote unquote cheaper to just bomb the targets that you have inside information. And with that being said, I would love to know what the cost of a dozen bombs are.
Well,
versus the cost of training, housing a dozen troops, maybe 100 troops. Like when does that meet? When does that number hit?
Well, I mean, it's talking comparative numbers as far as like gasoline and gunpowder.
Yeah, the bomb itself, but then also the plane and the pilot to fly it, the fuel, like everything else it takes to deploy it.
Well, I think the real answer is, what do you want your result to be?
I think
'Cause we could do
should be able
Hiroshima
to afford way more. Well, yeah, if you want to just nuke everything, there's no president ever going to touch that button ever again. Unless it's Trump, which everyone's screaming that's what he's going to do, like first day in office, just for shits and giggles.
I wonder what happens if I do that.
Somalia. Why? Because they were small enough.
Yeah. Well, let's just hit on that, because I've always kind of toyed with that too. If you're the enemy, you're Kim Jong, you're whoever, and Trump's president, do you say, that bastard's crazy enough to do it? You know what I mean? Do you ever sit back and
Maybe
say,
we need
That's
that.
crazy versus crazy right there.
yeah, but he might do it. Maybe I should shut up for a little bit, because if I really stretch my neck out, he may chop it. He may not mess around. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But the point is, where that line is. Right now, look at China.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the sea. I mean, holy mackerel, talk about an expansion.
Yeah.
And what are we going to do about it? Nothing.
But
Tens of thousands of
China
troops.
only got, I don't know how many aircraft carriers they have now, but I know like 2010 was the first one they ever got.
No,
Oh,
they're
no,
like
hey.
they're like ants. They just stack their planes on top of the people, and it's a constant rotation of flotation.
So a lot happens in 5 years.
Oh, man. Look at it. A friend of mine, of course, he's a colonel at the air base now, but if we were to go head-to-head with China, let's say in an air battle right now, let's say it all breaks loose, China goes head-to-head, we would kill them 10-1. Our technology is a lot better. However, their manpower outnumbers 40-1.
But they can't get here.
Well, we're just talking air power. Let's say we clash over. Let's say they just step on Thailand and say, "Here we are." They go over to.
Oh, we just can't do anything
Singapore.
about it, basically.
There's nothing, because we can't win that fight. We
Yeah.
cannot. If they decided to load up ships and just start coming over, Are we really going to do something about it?
I think we could sink the ship before it got here.
How many ships would they send?
No, we wouldn't because we couldn't just take an aggressive action.
So
Because
If
of course
you got
we have to
4,000
exercise.
ships hitting your
okay,
shores.
now hang on. There's 4,000 ships that are all sitting 100 miles off your land because that's international waters. What do you do?
But you're talking Bay of Pigs type shit right here.
I
Right?
think
Well,
you
of
ask
course.
questions
So then
before
one
they
out-
get 100 miles out.
And what do they say?
That's what all we
We're
would do.
Yeah, that's all we do. And
Sit
at 100
and
miles
stare.
out, they come at you couldn't kill them all. If all these little ants, I'm giving obviously a hypothetical, bizarre situation, but you couldn't get them all. Let's say they start all the way in Alaska. They have enough people to cover the whole damn coastline of
Plus
Mexico.
missiles
What
on
do
the boats. Don't forget that.
and
That's
there's
it.
armament.
So basically, you're just walling everybody in. You create the perimeter. You basically
siege
stomp
'em.
everybody from.
Yeah, it's an old
you
school
just-
siege.
and you
That's
just
it.
keep closing in.
Well, isn't that what
tightening
they're
the
doing?
border, tightening the line.
And then you go deeper. The economy aspect, the debt to China, the what they produce and we buy.
Well, also their economy is based on us buying their stuff, though.
Yeah, but if they're going to war, I don't think they give a shit.
Right.
yeah, it's
You know,
it's
there's
kill-
a
it's
certain
kill or
amount of
be killed,
national
and
pride.
Trade lines don't matter anymore.
I can tell you this: if they go to war, it's because they're printing their money, and if that's the case, it's because the Federal Reserve is behind it. So it's gonna be the Federal Reserve funding both sides.
What's the
again.
next stage of 1984?
Hey.
The Pan Asia or whatever comes gets us.
Yeah, Europa
But
versus
see,
Eurasia.
a public expansion like the Chinese military. I mean, that still stands pale in comparison to the fact. I like that you said it earlier because you echoed a sentiment that I long believed for years that terrorism is not a physical force.
No.
Terrorism is a mindset. Terrorism is a way of life for the people that choose to involve themselves in it.
Here you go. You want to piss off people? Terrorists today are what made America from the British.
Terrorism today,
Because the British fought European style, lined up, wearing your
Right.
fancy red coats.
sure.
There was an honor, a properness to it.
Right.
We hung out in trees, behind rocks, set booby traps, did bombs, did a
Yep.
bunch of shit. Man, we decimated.
We learned from the Indians.
Yeah,
Yeah, what is that? Indian style they call it? From
That's
books years
racist
ago.
now. You can't say
the
Indian.
CIA also
Sorry,
taught-
Redskin style.
Yeah, that's good.
The
Easy.
CIA also taught Bin Laden and his army in the 80s how to fight a superpower like Russia
Right.
by being able to take a $20 million airplane down with a $200 rocket. And they're-
200, huh?
It's pretty well. This is 1980 money, so things are a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Inflation now.
Yeah, inflation's got kind of nuts, but they're doing the exact same thing to us. It is like, I don't know what,
taught 'em well.
10 to 20, 30 times more expensive to attack than it is to defend.
Wait a minute. We have high
Depends what it
taxes.
is.
We have
we
taught
have the
the
largest
people-
debt. We spend
are
more
we,
money.
Are we British?
Oh, yeah.
250 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Just about.
So we have the largest debt. We spend the most money, yet we're cutting back our military because there's no budget. The FBI isn't funded enough because there's no budget. Where's the money going?
Right.
What you guys mentioned about obviously Middle East is a big hot issue. You brought up Korea, Kim Jong,
Yeah.
North Korea. There was one thing in that story that did catch my attention. Alaska, the joint base Elmdorf, Richardson, and brigades will be downsized from units of about 4,000 soldiers to 1,000.
Our cold weather troops.
Now, our Alaska base seems pretty damn close to, according to Palin, Russia.
Backyard.
It's
Yeah.
Backyard. Yeah.
backyard.
It's a stone's throw away.
Isn't Putin one of those guys that you just know can turn when he gets his period or something?
I don't
that-
think we're worried about it though, because if we take our troops out of Alaska, I mean, they've still technically got to get through Canada, and that's a
No.
lot of
It's not that
It
part.
depends on who
It's the
attacks.
closeness of, and if
Right.
you've got any, you need a crew ready to, like you
Right.
said, you want to just dial it up. Hey, we got something. Get the base set. Go. We're sending people your way, but have everything set. When you're cutting off the land closest to not only Russia but South Korea or North Korea, sorry South Korea. When you get them closest to that Pan Asian area, don't you want some build up there or just some standby troops or something? I mean,
But see,
where
we
we're cutting
don't-
off is weird, isn't it?
But see, the thing is, okay, 2 deployments that I did, and everything, unless you were going to Japan, say Iwakuni or Okinawa, you flew from the West Coast and you stopped in Hawaii, and then you moved on from Hawaii and you went across and you finally hit the Pacific Rim. The thing is everything else, all of these the deployments we did to the Middle East, we went east. So, I mean, we did those hops and we met up with the Allied troops and we were on Allied bases and we were moving in Allied circles until we got to what they call theater. and then it was just game on from there. So we're smart in terms of how we get to different places that we need to get to accomplish the things that we set out to do. You know, we're not traversing across eastern Russia to get to, you know, the Middle East. I mean, we're taking the smart route and we're saying, look, we're going to get as close as possible by the safest route possible, and then we're not going to jeopardize ourselves. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, if the Russians ever wanted to try and invade America, doing it through Alaska is the dumbest fucking move possible. Just because you've just got to survive those elements. And
I apologize. I played video games as a kid. I never did military, so I don't know these things.
When it comes to risks, you definitely go through Alaska. That's the border.
Yeah.
But hey, the Russians are used to cold. I don't know that's
So
relevant.
similar.
Yeah, I mean, if they depending on who the president was or whoever's in charge, say, I mean, again, this is all huge hypothetical, but if they kind of come through and hold that, and say, okay, we're sorry, but we'll stop now. You know, how many people would say yes or no? I don't know. I go back to the ostrich syndrome, right? No, you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, America. Those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. And if you look at exactly where we are right now and look at us pre-World War II, looks awful similar.
Yeah.
Besides, you know, I just thinking of all this stuff in China thought me another point. A Trump point. Trump should run as the savior of the Greenpeace movement. I know you're like, what the heck? He should go out there and say, you know what? He wants to bring all the jobs back from China, right? I'm just thinking of China, so he should go out there right now and say, you know what? Think about it. China runs factories 100% polluted, unscrubbed, unregulated. We have some of the tightest regulations in the United States. All we got to do is bring all those jobs back to the United States. We could cut the CO2 pollution of the world by bringing those jobs to the United States under our standards. How's that?
Except the reason they left to begin with is because all the rigorous regulations and shit they got to.
Yeah, exactly. But now
I feel like we're going to get into later.
You're coming out with Greenpeace. That's nothing.
Oh, you don't have to tell me the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is
you just got to make me feel warm.
politics.
This is
There we go.
organic.
Yeah.
hey, just like
Brewing.
he looks good to a lot of the people who identify as gays. I mean, he's going to look good to the tree huggers. I mean, shit, make some money on the side.
I can't say that. You know what? We'll bring them over. We'll save the pollution. Think of all these unregulated Chinese factories that are just pouring smoke in the air.
My
right?
vote 100% goes to anyone who talks about, legitimately talking about he's going to do it, bring jobs back, and this is how, and by making it difficult for everyone else to get their imports here and benefit those businesses here, promote them, support them. Yeah. Let's move on to, I got two stories left. One local here. It has to do with Fresno. This is kind of more just a little heads up for you guys driving around. Fresno police have launched a crackdown on traffic violations that endanger bike riders and pedestrians. They're going to be looking for anybody who doesn't come to a complete stop, wait for anybody to stop walking, start walking, all that. And it does not mean just when they pass you and you're about to make that right-hand turn. You have to wait for them to apparently get all the way to the other goddamn corner of the street before you can walk or drive.
Wow.
Keeping our county safe.
Yeah.
One blue
Let's crack down on the
costume
bike.
at a time.
Let's crack down on and just as an aside, let's just crack down on the Bic lanes.
Are we? Yeah. Are we not the meth capital of the world? Did we
Yeah.
lose that title?
Alcoholics per capita.
I think they would walk faster, being the meth capital of the world. People
I've
should
actually-
walk faster across the street.
I've been held up by a guy.
3 steps forward, 1 back. They turn around,
Yeah.
come back, turn around, come forward.
I've been held
Sit
up
on
by
the
a guy
ground,
just
cry.
standing there, not yelling at me, but just yelling in general. He just decided that was his soapbox moment. It was right there in the middle of the street, and it's like, oh, come on,
Bike
man.
lanes.
See,
Seriously.
again, Madera, you're on your own, right? I mean, you better cross it on your own will. We're not going to stop for you.
You just stop that guy crossing. Hey, what do you do? I'm a professional street crosser.
Yeah, exactly.
what I do.
You'll get rear-ended. You stop for that.
Well,
You know,
this-
I like
they hit you
Madera.
stop for.
Madera is the only place in California that I've been that they know how to use 4-way stops. Like with the stop signs, like I'm like,
No one
yes,
does.
they get
Fresno
it.
knows
Fresno's
how to
terrible
use
for
them.
that.
They just choose not to.
Yeah.
All right.
I know about that.
This whole thing is going on because apparently police have investigated 50 fatalities and 800 collisions involving pedestrians and bike riders over the last 3 years, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm guessing those collisions were like some of the simplest things. But anyways, this isn't just about the guys driving the cars. It's also about the cyclists and the pedestrians. They're not off the hook. some traffic laws may apply to bike riders and pedestrians. Basically, jaywalking is now going to be a thing for the next 2 months. Watch out.
I thought they did that years ago. They were giving out tickets like candy for jaywalking, right?
Yeah, Fresno PD seems to do this click it or ticket. Like, they give you the heads up. They give you a warning, like, for the next 2 months, this is what we're looking and caring about. And then after that, you're going to get your don't drive. And usually this comes up on summer, drinking and driving, so the checkpoints go out in force. Now they're talking about bicycle riders, pedestrians, all that. So this is the new thing, is you're going to have to stop completely, wait for the person to cross all the way over before you go. If you do a rolling stop, anything, they're going to be watching corners. So
did we not just have like 2 of the councilmen here and a couple months ago talking about how we needed 200, 300 more cops to take care of all the violent crime, and now we've got cops being dedicated to issuing more tickets? Didn't we bring up the idea?
What are we doing with our current police force?
Yeah, didn't I bring up the fact that there might have been a revenue generation when you set up all these DUIs with clarified the junkest city in America? Like, don't you think there might be bigger shit to fucking deal with? God damn it.
They can't erase the homeless. They don't need money anymore. So
exactly.
They can't touch them.
Why arrest them? They're just, you can take them to the county and then it costs you more money feeding them.
Yeah, exactly. They're out the next morning anyway.
You can only steal from people who have shit to steal.
Right.
That's it.
The truth is there.
That's it.
Last story, and then we're going to take a break and then come back and talk with Dan. And this story has nothing to do with news per se. It's just sad. It happened yesterday, and so I was in the middle of my Father's Day stuff with my family. Star Trek lost a member. Mm-hmm. Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov in the new movies, who's coming out in 32 days as of today. I still have a date with my mom. Unfortunately, was crushed and killed by his car. He got out of his car and went to the mailbox. The car rolled back, crushed him, pinned him. People didn't find him for like 4 hours. It turns out the car...
Shitty way to die.
The car is a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which apparently, as of today, it was found out as part of a global recall for issues with gears slipping, changing, people having issues with cars rolling away when put in park. So,
especially next to mailboxes.
Yeah.
Damn.
So we lost our Chekhov, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. But yeah, I know it has nothing to do with what we're doing on this show tonight. But
should we check it off the list?
Dude, you just want hate mail.
I think they made up the bit about he was checking his mail. I think he was seriously trying to ghost ride the whip. I really think he was trying to ghost ride.
That Wednesday night is the night for that. Anyways.
Oh, hang on, I forgot a letter.
It's official. There we go. I'm a hater.
Oh, my God. You guys are all horrible people. We are going to take a break. We're sitting here with Dan Riley of Steel Structures and Riley's Brewing, of course. We're going to be chatting with him about HSR, how they're boning him to 6 figures so far. And then, of course, Michelle Obama's got a little special something planned for him, and we're going to get into all of that, as well as what's going on with him, where you can find him, breweries, bars, things like that. That's all coming up here on The Kick. This is Longbox.FM, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Kick on Longbox.FM.
Segment of the show is brought to you by Peeves Public House. Peeves is a hyper-local space for residents to experience the Central Valley's best casual pub food and drink. Check them out at peevespub.com.
All right, the Kick is back here on Longbox.FM Studios, brought to you, of course, by the man in the room, Riley's Brewing.
There he is.
Yay! Where's the camera?
All around 360.
So, we've touched on a handful of topics as we, again, the infantile stage of the show. Week 3, trying to figure out our format, our structure, but seems to be working. Throw out a story, get a lot of people pissed off, and outside talking, smoking, getting angry, and then keeping this going until probably Wednesday, right, Kevin?
That's the idea.
Yeah. So we have, as I said, the man of the hour, Dan Riley here. He is the owner of Riley's Brewing, the guy who brings you such great brews. As of course, right now, Vanna, you're drinking what, the ginger?
Yeah, the ginger beer. It is amazing, seriously. And this quarter Japanese girl has to say this is like going to be the best beer you'll ever have with sushi. I'm not giving you ideas, but if you want to go to roll one for me and pair it with this, You can't go wrong. Seriously, ginger beer. Yum.
There you are.
It's amazing promo. It's
It
amazing.
is.
Promo
That's
was well done.
I couldn't have made that up. Yeah.
That's not a promo. That's the truth, yo.
Hashtag Toilet Symphony Part
Yeah.
2, Vanna.
Hashtag keeping it real.
That's it.
So, anyways, Dan, you we'll talk about what you got coming up, especially the place out in Clovis, and maybe some special new bottles coming out. But the big reason you're here, it was touched upon on the Dirt Daddy podcast a few weeks back when we had Ray Appleton on, and I've heard you on KMJ talking about this. You are a man who owns a company, has a lot of employees, and is totally rich except for the fact that you are getting bent over by high-speed rail right now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Give us that story of the high-speed rail.
Okay,
Big
so,
sigh.
yeah, I know it
It's
just
gonna go deep.
it can, yes. Hang on, which way are you talking about? Just clarify. Anyway, so we
Well, whichever way the government
yeah,
gives it to you.
that's it.
Yeah.
So what we have is this started in January of 2013 to show how far back this goes, and we were notified that by mail that the high-speed rail was going to be near my property and could potentially, might somehow impact us.
That means it will.
Yeah. So, as time went on, then obviously it did. Then it was up close to my building. Then it was going to be moving my shop. Then it moved back over to the east side. Now it's going to go down the east and the south. They're putting an overpass in place, which would completely remove my entrance. I don't. Just out of curiosity, do you have my videos? Could you pop them up when you're just? I don't know.
Which
if you can.
videos?
The one with some of the tanks coming out. Did I ever send you those?
No,
With
but
those
if you tell me where to go find, are they on your Facebook?
Yes, they're on Facebook. You'll see
Okay.
some of the ones taken on. Anyway, so some of our loads, just to give you an example, we're a heavy shop. There's only a couple of us left. There used to be 5, and then 2010 hit, 2012, and 3 of them went out of business. Good people, too. Lord's down in Bakersfield, Kings Valley Industries up in Madera. So now there's really only 2 of us left doing this. I own everything's running well. I can employ about 40 people. Right now I have about 30. And some of the loads we take out of my shop are up to 24 feet in diameter. And they're the longest ones we've taken about 118 feet long.
Jesus.
So usually...
These are pipes?
Huh?
Are these pipes? Or
They're usually pressure vessels, or they're could be vacuum chambers. They're helium tanks. They're code vessels. So what that means is we usually have to take X-rays of them. They're designed for high pressure, high temperature, cryogenics, things like that. So being ASME engineering, that's the code stamp we put on these tanks. So that's why we build them the way they are, because you can't get them down the road or build them in the field very well.
Yeah, you're talking, though, the size of something like a silo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just
and
118 feet. That's like a small submarine
yeah.
on the back of a semi.
Exactly.
It is, yeah, and it's called a 9-axle, which the video, if people are listening, your listeners are, if they can see you on the YouTube or whatever it is, you can see some of that stuff. It's impressive. It's how do I say, it's humbling, and at the same time, it's got a lot of pride.
Yeah.
Because you get to see something like that. I built that.
You mastered it.
You mastered it, yeah. I am the master of my domain.
Exactly.
Yeah. So within about 100 miles or so of my place, it's usually cheaper to build large vessels and ship them than going to the field and even building some of the other stuff. So what we've been able to do...
I got it. I see the video of the big one being hauled out. Here we go.
Yeah, that's one of them. They get a lot bigger than that. That's
That
actually
is a
small.
big-ass septic tank right there.
Yeah. That's actually a small one. There should be more. If you go down deep, there's one it takes the whole driveway to turn around. So that one just got a pilot car, and that's a baby one. But you notice how low it is to the ground? If it was up on a regular semi-truck, it would hit the power lines. So what the high-speed rail is doing now is they're trying to put a bridge in front of me that my trailer's too low and I wouldn't be able to get out.
That's your only exit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, for people that don't know, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you mentioned it, but you're right out there off of Avenue 15 and a half.
Right, in Road 29.
Right. And so your driveway actually exits to 15 and a half,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
Right, so we have access to all the roads. I mean, give you a background, steel structures started in 1952. So it's been around a long time. Some of the other tanks we have, which some of the other videos, if you're scrolling through the Facebook, is we usually have up to 5 CHPs. We'll escort a load. There'll be 2 to 3 in front with called hopping, blocking traffic, blocking intersections, because we'll have to go down the wrong way because you can't go under a power line. You can't go under a stoplight. We've got a lot of the stop signs around the area we pin. We actually take the bolts out, drop the stop signs so we don't hit them, and then bolt them back up. So we've been doing it a while. The High Patrol knows us. The hauling companies know us. The escorts know us. So now with their high-speed rails, they want to tear out that front and put a bridge up front that I cannot get out. And when we argued the value of it, they looked at my property and said, okay, Based on the amount of land we're taking, based on the real estate appraisal only, so no goodwill, no future work, we think we can give you about 257.
To give an aerial for those watching the video, what are we looking at here?
Okay, so 15 and a... Oh, you're at 15. Go up a little more. At 15 and a half.
What? My bad.
Up a little higher.
Thanks, Google.
Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't look familiar. There we go. See, Riley's Brewing Company, steel structures. That's pretty cool. So you'll see...
And horrifying.
And horrifying at the same time. Are we
Thanks,
alone in
NSA.
the universe?
So the entrance, is it?
Right, a little farther left. That's the
Right
driveway.
here.
Right there. So that is where we take our loads in and out. And that is where they want to cut off. So actually... If kind of where my office is there, it actually says Riley's Brewing. That whole front area up to my blasting bay, which is that building, they're going to take all that.
So this right about here is supposed to go
all the way
away.
over to the train tracks.
So
Oh, wait. Here to the train tracks?
Yeah, go down more. Go down. Never thought I'd tell you that. Go down. All right. All the way to the train tracks. Up a little bit. And then you kind of get the idea. Right there. Yeah. See where those little silos are?
Yeah.
Now, if you take a line and draw it straight over to my office,
Okay.
that's what they want to take.
Where all the
okay,
stuff
so
is.
Where all the stuff is,
So
absolutely.
this is safe, but your
Well-
entrance and a lot of your land is gone.
Right. Now, on the east side, see where it says that my fence right there? Kind of see it just on the east where it says Road 29? Yeah, right there, that fence. Nope. Kind of go off that kind of angle. The train tracks are right along that.
Yeah.
So they want to take, their original was supposed to take my building. They said that was too expensive. So they're going to take that area, and that is where the high-speed rail is going to go. So all of that said, what it would do is absolutely unequivocally put me out of business.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much were they going to offer you, did you say?
They, I think it was 200. It was either 257 or 263, depending on all the areas. Is what they're going to offer me for the entire place.
1,000 or million?
1,000.
and now you said
Hey.
doing your own research that it's somewhere in the ballpark of 22 million. I
Okay,
heard?
so not even my research. So what I did is I contracted 3 general contractors. I'm a general contractor. I'm an A licensed engineer, and I've got a C51 structural steel as well.
Sure.
So, but they don't want me to do my own stuff. So I contacted a couple companies. The one who's got my current bid right now is Span Construction out in Madera. And what we say with my attorneys is we would have to pick up my entire facility and relocate because there's no way to save it for what they're going to take. It would completely disrupt my entire job. But the biggest part is, regardless, I don't know if you can. Hopefully, you can find another one of those big videos. You see a big long one turn out right in front of you. I can't get my loads out.
Right.
86% of my business, we found out, we're doing the stats because they requested it, is wide loads. So I'm out. We came up with a value of $22 million is what it would take. Now, that sounds like a big number. That's not me keeping a penny. That's not me running
that's
off the
just
next...
the cost of moving all that stuff somewhere else.
The first $1.5 million was Air Quality Control Board.
God damn.
How's that?
Oh, man.
You got to protect the kids.
So wait,
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
to do with infrastructure.
Right, that would build the building, but there's several. There's a
They're talking about the air and crap like
right.
that.
What they did, the way I have to do my booth, I can't use decomposed granite anymore, which is the rock we blast with. So we have to use steel shot. We have to have the reclaim system for the steel shot because it makes dust that stays in the air for more than 24 hours. The baghouse filters we'd have to redo. My painting filters would all have to be redone. Then of course everything has to be ADA compliant. So imagine I'm on 10 acres. And they want paved 36-inch wide minimum wheelchair drives to all of my shops. Now my crane, you couldn't see it in the picture anyway, my one crane that I take the field with me weighs 106,000 pounds sitting there empty.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to pick up a load in the front, so transverse weight. So that means I'm going to have 200,000 pounds on my front tires as I'm driving something across the yard. That means that 36 wide little pad there has to be over 2 feet thick so I don't break it when I drive over it. So my semi-trucks roll over 80,000 pounds full of steel. They've got to take all this. My property then, when I'm driving across my property, can't make dust. So I either have to pave it. Well, I can't pave it with asphalt because my loads are so heavy. In the summer, I would rather screw up the asphalt. So now I have to have concrete. So I need 10 acres of concrete, 24 inches thick.
We're talking about
Jesus Christ.
loads like this.
Like that one. Yeah, that one's coming to back out. So that's 24 feet in diameter. It's not, it's tall, but it's on a low bed, so we're able to haul that out of the yard. So I get these jobs because nobody else can do it. There's another one still showing him driving across the front. Sorry if you just can't do it, but I believe you're good enough, right?
I'm
You
not
won't
good at
film it.
trolling. I'll work on it.
You're the ultimate troll. Yeah.
What?
He's got a lot to learn still.
So you're on 9 acres out there right now in Madera, and they want roughly what, like just under an acre?
They want a little over an acre.
A little over
but
an acre.
it's my access.
Right.
It's like I only want the first 20 feet of your house, but I'm going to take your driveway.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, you drive a car, that's fine, but I'm only going to give you an access that's 36 inches wide. So
This the shot here?
that's it. That's the one that they're having the most trouble with because that load's been done before. That's not new. And you'll see CHPs in the right. You see the cranes up in the air behind it. That's kind of a good view of my shop. We actually took that tank all the way down to San Diego. So it was expensive, but because of the design and how it's built, we could still build it cheaper here and ship it all the way down to the ever built in the field. And we were able to beat because of how my shop works, of what other people were doing even down there. They complain in L.A., they complain our labor right up here in the valley. Say, wow, you guys are horrible that I'm that much cheaper than you are up here.
So this is all about HSR, high-speed rail.
Right,
It's
eminent domain.
good for America, and it's bringing jobs to California.
That's
all
what
that.
they say.
Well, it's destroying at least 40.
Yeah, well, now also, I
Nonsense.
bid on a part of the own stop because I want to do some of the
This
steel
is the
on the rail.
best. Okay, yeah.
And they looked at me and said, you can't even bid on this because you're a non-union shop. We have a labor agreement, so that's where the Davis-Bacon Act doesn't come into play. There's this headache right there. I can see the vein. So because I'm a non-union shop, I am not allowed to work on the rail.
So you can't even recoup some of the cost and
Nothing.
some of the loss.
Nothing.
How about if you do get moved? If you
Well-
get to a new place, do you get to at least get your own contract? Well,
Nope.
I guess that's really useless.
They can't throw in.
No,
they're
'cause
not
they're
gonna throw in
paying
a
for it.
contract
Right, they're
that,
paying.
Yeah.
So what they do is they won't buy permits. They won't do anything. They're going to say, we will write you a check for this much money. So they offered me the 260-something, which is ridiculous. So we countered and said, this is what it would take to move. Then they said, well, how about we just give you $4 or $5 million, go to Mexico and retire? And so that's not what I want to do. My kids are 13 and 15. I'm Generation 3. I want to pass on Generation 4. I have no desire to close up the brewery, close up the shop, and just walk
Did
away.
they actually make you that offer?
They did.
Almost verbatim or verbatim?
Almost verbatim.
That is absolutely disgusting.
But that's what it is.
That the $250,000 offer was just like, just shove that in his face
Yeah.
because we have $5 million we can offer him
Well,
too.
they appraised it and offered me fair land value, is what they said. But it's not about the land value; it's about what I'm doing with the land.
Yeah.
Right? Fair enough. And then they did offer me the second value. Maybe I just go away.
Again, if you want to talk to Dan, you got a thought on all this, the number is 559-492-0450, where you can Skype in Longbox.FM. Dan, crap. I thought
I'll just
too
say,
much.
and if you're for high-speed rail, call in and prove that somebody who is for it exists.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the lawyers for it, their engineering departments for it.
No, how'd you
And-
get so host? Okay,
Surprise, surprise.
I know about a company here in town that was given the option to bid on basically a brand new rebuild of a building of a company that was lost due to high-speed rail. That company, they were going to move to a new location. They were going to get basically, from what the quote was going to be, the best of everything.
Sure.
Not only replacing what they had, but like we're going to go ahead and update you 30 years. And I mean, you're getting the best servers, the best assembly line, the best fruit lines, all that stuff.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The company that I know of got the bid with the understanding that you're supposed to bid higher than the one that was going to win it, predetermined. So it was like Fantasyland. You write whatever you want.
We just need to prove so that we went somewhere else.
And it was another company involved too. So there's 3 bids. The one pre-existing knew that they were going to get it bid had to be the lowest. So of course they shared their stuff with that company.
Yeah.
And that company went and made their bid however they wanted, and it went out. But they got anything and everything that they wanted. How are you getting boned when, from what I know of that scenario, how do you get boned when other people are getting whatever they want?
I'm going to say a couple different ways. One, I didn't get involved in the political arena soon enough. Now I've made a few friends. I've kind of know a congressman. I know some board members. I know this, I know that. Too late. But I know them now, so hey, that works. The second part is they were an absolute take. There's no argument. They're gone. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to move them no matter what. What they're arguing with me is they say I'm not a positive take. They say they can redesign it around me. So that's the other problem. Here's the flip side of this: is our first court date.
How far away are they from you?
They're about a half a mile north of me right now.
Okay.
I can see the cranes in the air.
But they're also a little bit behind schedule too. Right?
They're way behind. They should have torn my place down in May.
Haven't they been put on permanent delay for your delay?
No, this part's funded. The northern part's still funded. It's the southern part that's they're trying to delay.
Okay.
So, but like half a train's going to work. But, yeah.
High-speed walk your ass.
And also remember that this entire bid project, which is now like billions over budget, has nothing to do with the train yet. This is just shoring up, pouring concrete, putting the infrastructure up, putting the dirt up. They have not bought the train yet.
Because they have no trains, they have no track, they have nothing else.
Right, the track isn't set either because they don't have the train.
Yeah.
They flew to, I think it was France about 6 months ago. I don't know if you guys remember the story, to go look at trains. And I'm like, well, we're America. We practically invented the train way back in the Wild West. How do you go to another country and look at the high-speed rail? And none of them work. There's not a train in the world that is self-sufficient, no matter what they tell you. So they haven't met the trains, but it's in December of 2014. We went to trial, and we lost. That was in May. I went to trial one time before, and we kind of tied. Then the second time I lost, and the judge just flat said, the exact quote, I'm going to try to get as close as I can, is the Judge Oakley out in Madera said that the high-speed rail, or the people, it's the people, of course, the people versus steel structures is actually how it's, like, I'm not one of the people.
Yeah.
But the people
I am gonna
have
hate you.
no... Yeah. I'm like, what are you throwing? Have no way to reimburse their losses. Steel structures, regardless of the... I forget exactly the word, but anyway, our hindrance, even if it's the ultimate hardship, that's a lawyer term, our hardship and the ultimate hardship, we have the means of being reimbursed by the high-speed rail. High-speed rail doesn't have the option of being reimbursed by anyone. So the high-speed rail signed a contract with, I forget the name, Tudor and Perini, who do the design build on the rail, that if the high-speed rail hasn't acquired the land for Tudor and Perini to actually start building, the state of California is fined $300,000 a day.
Shit.
A day if they're not ready. So at that loss, they figured that within, 30 days or whatever it is, they couldn't recover the money. So because of the laws of eminent domain, I lost, and they're allowed to come and take my place. Here's the real kicker. They are, because of the value trial, which is originally set for September, but now it's looked like it's getting delayed. They're allowed to take my place, put me out of business, and not give me a penny.
Yeah.
A penny. Yeah. Because the value trial is set. So we were originally set for, I think it was September 17th, I think. And now the high-speed rail is saying, you know what, we're not ready. So we want to delay the trial a year. Well, in a year, they certainly would have torn out my place, and I can't move. So, of course, we countered and said, there's no way. We gave them like 3 weeks. This week we should find out the ruling to see how long that delay is. But certainly can't be a year. I'm in big
They're just going to
trouble.
wait you out, right?
That's their goal. Because I've received a second lawsuit about a month and a half from the high-speed rail. And if on the picture you saw of my property, so that other building to the west of me, that's a common driveway. So it's his property. He takes care of the maintenance of it. It's my easement, so I take care of all the drainage and have the flood pond. Everybody's happy. So the high-speed rail's taking the front of his place as well, except he signed off and said, sure, I'll take the money, go away. Remind me another story on that. But anyway, yeah. So
You're talking right here.
Right there. So see where that fence goes up, straight up and down to your right a little bit? Yeah, right there. Straight down, that's the end of my actual property line. So that easement, the high-speed rail wants me to sign off and release my easement. Well, that's my driveway again. So they're now suing me, get this, 2 different lawyers, 2 different sets of engineers, and the lawyer that was suing me on the property to the west didn't even know about my suit on where I am now.
So you just have opposing forces that have no idea about the other's existence.
Exactly.
But they're just hitting you from all angles.
Yeah, and now I have to defend myself against a whole new trial.
And now, listen, because you're triple digits on this right now. I mean, you $100,000 plus just invested to fight it.
Yeah,
sextuple.
I've surpassed $163,000 now just in lawyer fees.
So I mean, you do this, and you understand that they're going to wait you out. Now you get the results this week, and I mean, if the actual delay results, if those aren't favorable, I mean, what's the next plan of action?
If they're not favorable, then we try to press the judge to speed it up. My only other favor is, because of the way that the union contracts work, if it's 100 degrees, they almost can't work. So they're just going to move really slow because we got a good hot summer. Hopefully it delays them, because in the big picture, if they were to just start taking down my fence line right now, if I got in their way, I'd be arrested by the state police.
But I mean, time okay, and I understand that, but time being what it is, and the fact that, like you said, the northern part of this whole stretch is still funded.
Right.
I mean, there's still wheels turning, there's still people, burning up the man hours and things like that. So I mean, when you talk about a shit hit the fan scenario, and it's like, oh shit, Dan, today's the day. We've got to make a decision because we're not going to get the trial date that we want. We're not going to be able to wait this out. We can't just keep hemorrhaging money trying to fend these guys off left and right. I mean, what is Dan Riley going to do when the shit hits the fan? If this is D-Day right now, I mean, what do you say?
I don't have enough money to do that. So fortunately, I've made some pretty good agreements. Madera's a cool place. I've got a few friends that are bankers and so forth. I would have to go into debt a lot and rebuild and essentially think of it. I'd have a good customer base. I'd have to basically treat it like it was a brand new business, and I would have to go in debt at my cost, for their design.
Is there any chance here you just lose?
There is.
Like you just shut down, you're done?
There is. I try not to dwell on that, but there is always
it a
that
good chance?
Don't ask that.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, reality. I mean,
no.
We got this miracle train that's going to come through and then ruin his entire life.
Right.
Third generation, ruin the life.
The simple answer is it's not a good chance. It's a small chance. Could it happen? Yes, but I've got lots of avenues, and even the legal structure. It's really difficult to them to try to stretch this out a year. That's not reasonable. I mean, even if it was a murder trial, asking for a year, that's pretty tough to do. So they're just being unreasonable. But what I have learned, and one of the reasons I think that it seems like I'm getting hit so hard, but I'm so vocal and so many people listen, I think there's a lot of people out there, not probably to the level that I am, but there's people out there like me that are getting hosed. They don't know they can fight back.
Yeah.
So I try to get on all, the radio. I try to get like on this. If you know somebody that is, I've had people hit me on Facebook now. I've had our website come in contact with us, and I tell them, contact me. I'll give you the names of our lawyers. I'll do what I can to help you out, because you don't have to roll over and die. They don't have the teeth that they say they do.
Can they afford the lawyers? You just said $163,000 you've spent.
Yeah, but I'm huge. If it's your
so what
house,
if Longbox is sitting in the middle of high speed rail? I got $2 in my wallet. Right,
but we could throw a packet of peanuts at them and just get bulldozed over.
The beauty is, if you're sitting in the middle of them, you're golden, because then they have to take you. See, if they're just going to take your front driveway, now you have a problem. But this whole place is probably worth $200,000, maybe, land and everything. So the fees aren't going to be that high. They're not going to fight that hard. You'll be able to negotiate a settlement and do what you need to do.
So you're only getting sexually assaulted. Like maybe they're feeling your tits. It's not full on rape here. So that the punishment's stronger. Well,
I could get a lot of hookers and blow.
No, they're going the side route. They're hitting you with just a little bit. So it's like, well, we don't. Your business can still thrive without a driveway and all this land. So shut up and consider moving forward. But if you were to be right in the middle of their crosshairs.
Well, I am in the middle of the crosshairs. They just haven't got to me yet. See, one of their own downfalls is that they're in their own way. They haven't been able to work fast enough. If contractors had actually moved at the pace they're supposed to move at, I would be dead right now. So, maybe it's the luck of the Irish, whatever it is. Maybe I go to church. But they haven't been able to go fast enough. They've got their own problems. The rain was a problem. Now the heat's a problem. They've had a few labor problems. They've had a crane issue. They just can't go fast enough yet to get to me. But if you look, of course, that picture is kind of old, but they've torn out all the grapes around me. They've torn the land out. They've already bought the houses across from me. I am the only one left.
You're that asshole sitting in, what is that movie, Up?
Yeah.
In the house.
That'd be a lot of balloons, man, yeah. But yes, that's the whole key, is I just won't get out of the way. But like I said, I think a lot of people, even some of my neighbors, have taken kind of a beating, kind of complained about it. But they just said, well, they offered me $50,000, so I had to take it. No, you don't have to take it.
Do you think if you
even
hold out,
fighting back a little bit, they'll give you more to get you out of the way?
Do you think if you hold out long enough, you'll get the most awesome brewery and steel structure place possible? And you don't have to answer because of lawyers, but...
Well, I mean, the value we picked was because it was a equivalent replacement value. If you try, because see, we're getting ready to go to court. There's a big difference. Fortunately, the court's got to be in Madera, and since it's my company and how I'm building it, I have to be judged by my peers, which looks back to the first trial. That was good for us.
That's the beer side. That helps.
That's the beer side helps. So I have to have a jury trial in Madera to judge me on what the value of my place is or what it would take to relocate me, keep me in business. That's actually good for us. That's bad for the rail. There's a lot of people in Madera that are fans of the rail. So, and there's a lot of people that I know I work with. Madera is 61,000 people. And the brewery and everything else, this is how it's kind of coming together. So that does play in our favor, and they know it. So we have a value trial coming up. We then have mediation coming up before this. There's depositions, which I've been working on too. And then trial, we'll find out what day trial actually becomes. But we're getting geared up. It's long and painful. I'm going to need a break when it's over, but it just beats you up.
And so let me ask you just a real quick question, because, I mean, obviously you're third generation in the steel structures business.
Right.
Opened in, 1954?
Right, 1952, yeah.
52. So, with that being said, now, has it always been in that same location?
No.
Or did it move?
It started out in Pinedale. Well, actually, I'm originally from Oregon.
Okay.
And my grandfather had a sawmill and a welding shop up in Oregon. And then my dad moved down to California. Then my grandfather got put out of business from the Spotted Owl. Remember that? Shut down a sawmill, put a couple hundred people out of
Oh, yes.
Spotted Owl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So then I came down here, worked with my dad. We kind of rebuilt the shop down here. Then I spent 6 years in the military. And then when it was all kind of dialed in, and then August of 2006, I took over, and it was at that location when I took over,
Right.
and I've been running it ever since.
And so with that being said, I mean, because obviously being third generation, I mean, you've seen this business get handed
Oh, yeah.
down, and you've taken it over now yourself, and it's become quite lucrative. I mean, we're talking a
Well, it wasn't until about 2009, 2010.
Sure.
Then it sucked, but yeah.
Sure, but I mean, within years of you taking it over, it became a very lucrative business to that end. I mean, a few $1 million a year at least. So now, when your father, he's still alive?
Yes.
Okay, so your father, being the guy that handed the business down to you, I mean, when you talk to him, what's his counsel to you? Stand your ground, or take the money and run, or where's your dad stand on this?
That's a good question. When we do talk about it, he just shakes his head, and what he tells me is, "I feel sorry for you." That's literally what he tells me. He said, "I feel sorry for you."
No hard charging, storm the gates with a rifle.
What can you do? It's long. It's long. It's concise. It's demanding. It's the long haul. It's you're dug in and you gain by inches.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. It's determination over the long run.
Right.
This is not a sprint.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
good question though. I'd never been asked that.
I do want to switch over to the next thing.
I think Vanna had
Vanna,
something.
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, is there any way that anybody who wants to support
You-
you on the high speed
God
rail?
damn
Is there
it.
anything that
Written
they
down,
do
can
to follow
we
you?
help?
Well, I mean, is
Yeah,
there
Vanna hasn't
anything
said
that
anything
you
in a while.
want to
Yeah.
you want to I mean, is there a website people can go to learn more? How
Yeah, I mean, you could go on our Facebook site. You know what's
Okay.
crazy? Have you looked at our Facebook site? Look on the Steel Structures Facebook site. How many likes do I have?
Stand by.
Sure. Anyway.
what's the Facebook page for that?
I'm
Steel-
doing it.
Steel Structures.
You steal the rest of
If
the
you do
question.
Steel Structures Madera, it'll come right up. Or Steel Structures Inc. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, the simple answer is yes. What I tell everybody, and actually it's the other way around both times. So I'm going to say, really, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. If the high-speed rail is screwing
Holy
with
crap. 12,000
Yeah.
likes.
you, yeah, because of this, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
that's firepower, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what we're able to do is, if you're getting harassed by high-speed rail, someone taking your spot, if you think you just have to sign it, roll over, let me know. Hit us on the Facebook, whatever it is. I can help you. The other side is what you can do for me is when the time comes, and we'll let you know when the trial comes. We want to fill.
A question
Yeah,
to interrupt there from the internet. Will that court hearing be public or recorded?
it will be public, and that's where I'm coming. So we're going to hit everybody we can. A lot of my friends out of the areas. And my attorneys also, we want to fill the courthouse. I've got a couple people that we're going to try to do live broadcasts. Hint, hint. Don't know anybody that does that, but maybe do a live broadcast and somewhere around there. I don't know what kind of permits we got to get. I know there's a couple other stations that would be willing to do it. We want to have and walk in. So when the rail, or when my attorneys stand up to the jury and they do their opening statements, my attorney wants to look to the audience which is about 250, 300 people, I think, and say, will all those that are here that rely upon Steel Structures, Riley's Brewing, something involved, will you please stand? We want the entire room to stand up.
Yeah.
Then all those here to support and to help High Speed Rail, please stand. We want the whole place to sit down. And then he wants to look at those, well, actually it's 14 people.
Those three assholes.
Yeah, and then say, hey, this is what we have here. Are you going to tell me that this is not a serious representation? That we don't, participate in the economy? That we're not one of the fastest growing breweries in the entire area?
What you could do is, if you want to do some anti-HSR protests, you can go on Craigslist and start hiring them at $15 a piece, and they'll go out there and get violent and angry and kill all Mexicans around them and all that stuff.
You know what's funny about that? We talked about protesting and everything. Here's what we learned, being comic book guys and everything. The High Speed Rail's like Swamp Thing now. Oh. They're already covered in muck.
Mudslinging.
You can throw more mud on them. It doesn't matter. You can't make them any muddier. Everybody knows what they're about. So it almost doesn't do any good. It's as far as it's gone. So now I just sound like I'm whining if I sling.
May I recommend just find someone, make a video, go through the employees, explain what they will lose.
Right.
Get personalized, humanize the people that are going to lose their jobs when you lose your business.
Right. We can subpoena that. We have to check with the judge, because the High Speed Rail can state a delay. If you have 100 people going up there as witnesses, if you want to show 15 minutes of video, they can object to that as a delay. How's that?
What if we do commercial breaks in between?
Just have one long intermission. Everybody go get your popcorn.
But yeah, the biggest thing is when it happens, what I really want to do is stand up, and I want a lot of people behind it, and I'm going to give back everything I can and say, we just don't roll over. And like I said, other people, and I know there's a lot of people getting screwed around on this. You don't have to take it and roll over. You don't. Even if you fight back a little bit, say, I'm just not going to sign it, you will have to take me to court and force my signature. They'll double that value for a lot of people and give you what you want, especially if it's a $200,000 house kind of thing, and just say done. Because going to trial is a bear for them. It's not fun. And I've never signed anything. They have to get a judge to sign everything, because I just will not sign. So I'm just their biggest pain.
Let me take
and vice versa.
We're running tight on time here.
Okay.
We have one other subject that we did want to talk about. You brought up with me on the phone this week. Do you want to hit that and our final how do we find you stuff? But the reason you were here, the reason we've met you provide fine brews.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you've been doing it in a way that I think that your growth, Longbox's growth, there's been a parallelness of, I'm not giving any credit here, just seeing how it starts up and it's doing good things and people are knowing about it, spreading. I see you in Save Mart now. I see you in liquor stores. I can find you everywhere. I don't have to go to the dark alley in Chinatown to find your brew. Things are going well for you, where the brew is actually the smallest part of what you do with the steel structure stuff.
Right. Although it's growing. I think we actually looked at it this morning for month 6. Trying to do that mental visual thing here. I think it was 158% we grew this year.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We
only do 23%. So
we do, and the variety packs are out. The hard soda's been huge. Sancha, actually, the hard root beer finally passed Sancha. But otherwise, Sancha was our best seller. The variety packs are out. So if you go to Save Mart, we were on ad for Father's Day. It was like $16.99 at Save Mart. Costco just picked up, did 5 pallet drops in some of the Costco stores. Winco's getting set up. Walmart's actually looking at us for the end of the year. We're at Food Max's. We're at Vaughn's. I forget now. There's like 500 or 700 locations we are between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe all the way down. We've got 4 distributors.
Well, okay, so you're growing. You're getting bigger and bigger.
You're getting bigger and bigger. Although growth is a cash flow problem for those of you that run a business, know exactly what.
Yeah.
Well, you're getting bigger.
Yes.
And you're already dealing with getting screwed by the government on one side, and now Michelle Obama is stepping in.
Yes.
To screw you on the other end.
So I can't figure out if she's in the front or the back. I don't know which way, how they're kind of deciding.
Whatever she decides.
It's too fat, Dan.
Yeah. So, well, that's the labels. And so that's getting pushed now. And what they want to do is they basically say alcohol beverages have had this exemption. And so they want to start putting nutritional value on alcoholic labels. So there's a couple of fights. The first thing is Budweiser doesn't really want you to know that Bud Light's only like 4%. So it's really low. And the Michelob Ultra, that's like 90. And everybody goes, woo, 90-calorie beer is like 2.8%. If you're drinking mostly water. So those guys...
Can I put my point in? Okay, I used to work at a pizza place.
Uh-huh.
I used to roll dough, and they had because it was a gourmet pizza place, so they had their skinny pizzas, which meant that you put the dough through one more time to make it thinner.
A little bit thinner.
Look, your fat ass is ordering a goddamn pizza. You're going to have cheese and pepperoni, grease, just going on. It doesn't matter how thin that crust is.
It's still the same amount of crust.
It's a cheat day.
Yeah.
So when you're drinking beer, does it really matter how many calories or which GMO place was putting whatever egg from some chicken into the beer
It's like
you're
a
drinking?
pack on cigarettes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's really funny, and of course our beers are all now crafted to reduce gluten, but that's a filtering process. But it works out well for us. So that if you're gluten intolerant, you can drink our beer, any of our beers, and any of our sodas. You're fine. But one of the biggest arguments we have is they try to pick up a lot of that alcohol as calories. So let's remove the beer for a second. Like go to vodka, let's say, and you've got vodkas like 80 proof. Let's say your body can't store alcohol, right? That's why you get alcohol poisoning. It's floating around your bloodstream. Your body can't say, great, I'm just going to take this alcohol and pack it away in these fat cells for later. It can't do it, right?
Yeah.
That's why you get alcohol poisoning. So you're going to read this and say, oh my gosh, this beer has 100 calories. In reality, your body can't store any of it. So what?
Doesn't matter.
Right? So what's the point?
I'm going to drink it now and work it off later.
Yeah, that would be like saying if all I'm going to do is live on vodka like alcoholics do, they'd be fat as a house. And instead, they all die because they get bone skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you get fat, it's
alcoholics, they're not notoriously just fatties.
no. So if you're going to get fat from drinking beer, it's because you're having that skinny pizza with the beer.
Yeah.
That's what gives you the beer gut.
Isn't that your supersized meal with the Diet Coke?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
What's the cost? Now, how many brews do you have? Versions.
Gosh, we've got over 20 now.
Okay.
We've got 4 cores, a seasonal, a specialty. The root beers in 6-packs, all the sodas variety packs, 22 ounces are coming for the sodas.
So you're like
brew pub will be taking
you're like
off one of these.
2% of Samuel Adams with that 987,000 summer brews they have. Yeah.
Sam Adams, yeah.
How much to test each one of those?
For this, we'd be over $1,000 each. We figured out ours would be somewhere around almost $40,000, not only to test them all, but to reprint everything. All new dyes, all new artwork, all new approvals, because TTB has to get the approval, all of that. We'd be almost $30,000 to redo everything.
Okay, so to
and we're
be
not
able-
that big.
You stop production, restart production after approval.
Right.
How much would it cost in that process? Forget about the labor and loss of income. How much are you saying? 30,000?
It would take us approximately 30. To be fair, they're supposed to have a grace period of like 90 days or something to give everybody time to reprint. But do you know what the print shops are going to be like if that passes for the next 90 days?
Yeah.
Everybody, imagine what Budweiser, Miller, and Coors are going to do. And Sam Adams, Sierra Nevada, imagine just them on print shops or cans, because cans usually come in pre-printed. Imagine all of that rebuy.
Yeah.
Okay, $30,000. How much do you make on a 6-pack of your beer?
Let's pick on Sancha. We make $2.
$2 for a 6-pack.
Oh, I'm talking case 6-packs, 50 cents a 6-pack.
50 cents.
Beers are high volume, low profit. In order for us to be, say, Sancha's $8.99, for the IPAs to be $9.99, for the hard sodas $9. In order to be cost competitive, you're making like 10%. But remember, I got a distributor and I got a store that marks it up twice too. So you can take whatever you see at the store. On average, it costs me half that was what I'm selling it for, and then I'm making about 10%.
So you got to sell,
and everybody is.
You got to do 360,000 beers, individual beers.
Sure.
Before you can pay off that cost, and that doesn't come in with the cost of labor, the cost of the equipment, the cost of time, legal, all that shit to get something that no one gives a shit about.
Right.
Only Michelob Ultra is the only one I know of that's ever talked about how low our carbs and our calories are, and no one drinks that beer.
Nobody gives a shit about it. I mean, literally, if you're going out with friends on a Friday night, the last thing you're going to do is walk up to the bar, hey, I need one of those beers, but I got to make sure it's got a label on there because I got to know the nutritional
that's just
value
your
in it.
prissy Christian girlfriend who has never been touched by a penis ever in her
Michelob,
life. Who wants
Michelob
that
Ultra,
one?
Michelob Ultra, it's 64 calories and it's advertised on every
it's like
single
1%.
thing.
Look, if you look them up, they're like 1.2% or something alcohol. It's tiny.
But they're the only beer that does that.
if you want to live on the bad side, but not actually be there.
Now think about this. You go to your local bar, right? You go to your local restaurant. You want that draft beer. Where's the nutritional value? Guess who reprints all their menus? Guess who reprints up all the stuff on the boards? Guess where all that stuff got to redone now because you're ordering a draft beer. They have to follow suit as well.
Well,
just
it's because really, when it came down to it, the FDA had the push for like fast food restaurants to put up all the calorie counts on all their boards. So McDonald's, Burger King, you see Chipotle. I mean, it just every restaurant you go into now, short of local mom and pops who just haven't really caught on to it, but everywhere you go now has a calorie count.
Sure.
But there's no real direct impact or influence for alcohol because I mean you're still just going to drink it. You don't care how many calories are in there. You don't care about your carb count. You don't care how many proteins it doesn't have in it.
You're drinking.
Just
and it's
like
not
McDonald's.
like it's not like this information isn't available elsewhere either.
Yeah. You know, it didn't get the value they want. If you're going to the gym and you're trying to look lean and you're trying to get your six pack, you're not eating at McDonald's anyway.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting your super lean whatever, your spinach salads, and you're taking good care of yourself.
But the calorie count now at McDonald's, I mean, if I go in there and get a Big Mac and I know that it's got 900 calories in it, then I know when I go to the gym, this is how long I have to work out to work off these 900 calories.
50%
I don't know what
fat.
any of you are talking about anymore. How many more lawsuits and ways are the government trying to fuck you right now?
Oh, man. You know, that's a good question. I had a State Board of Equalization audit. That didn't go well. Let's see. I don't even know. I haven't dwelled that deep. I don't want to, look at a tree and make it look attractive when I drive home.
So you're saying you're successful enough that the government wants to kill you? Financially.
Yeah. I don't think I'm that successful, actually.
It doesn't take much.
Doesn't take much. I think, I'm one of those guys where it kind of says you're wrong place, wrong time. I think that's just my luck. Someone made a joke about it. You build a shop, train goes through it. It just seems like the luck it is, and I'm just too stubborn to quit. So that's probably one of my biggest problems.
Well, we're going to have to find a way to help Longbox listeners, Longbox crew to go out, be a part of that court hearing, dude, if we can do any kind of lay on railroads, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Hell, I don't have a job right now. Let's do it.
Can we do a reveal show? For the court date, can we do a reveal show?
Oh, yeah. Trust me. Okay, so as we get close and I find the date and I know what's coming, I will let you know.
No, we're
going to make a circus over
my
this.
My proposal. I want to bring you in. And we'll sit you down, have a camera, just like when LeBron decided he was going to go to Miami. I just want to have that whole thing set up, and then you're just going to look dead in the camera and go, be here, this date.
Sure.
Riley's Brewing.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
That's no problem.
That's what we're doing. Riley, you have a couple things coming up. There is something that near and dear to our Wednesday night show. My special girl, Cotty. She's not the biggest fan of your beer, only because she doesn't like beer. But she's a huge fan of a certain clear liquid. What do you have coming?
Okay, so the paperwork's in. Once again, we're waiting on the government. Funny you should mention that.
Well, that's what keeps us safe.
Yeah, that's what keeps us safe. So product's done. We have a Type 7 license already at the brewery. For the sodas, we actually bring in all the raw ingredients. So I'll kind of give it how it started. The ginger, we literally bring in boxes of ginger. Most of it comes from Hawaii. Some of it comes from Thailand. But most of it is from Hawaii. Our average batch of ginger runs about our ginger beer runs about 44 pounds of ginger root. So we grind that up, and then we have 190 proof spirits at the brewery. So what we do is we set the ginger, let it soak overnight. Oh, yeah. You don't want to set this on fire. You'd never see it. Yeah.
Just lay it on your skin and you're drunk.
You don't want to drink it either.
No, we try. I was like, okay, how can we just get a little taste to make sure the potency's right? There's no way. I couldn't even swallow it. It soaked into my tongue and my cheeks faster than I could even swallow it.
So what you're saying is out there at Riley's, you're making some shine.
No, it's legal.
Legal shine.
It's legal shine. So, and then we do it with the vanilla. We do it with the orange oils from the press of the on and on. And then, so that's how we get it. We said, well, we already got all the equipment. I've already spent all the money. Let's make some vodka for the fun of it. Nice. And so all the paperwork is submitted right now to the TTB, which is the Tobacco Board, which that just means I want money, taxes, because you're making it. And they want $3.50 a proof gallon just because you have vodka. How's that?
Government.
Or at 190 proof, well, $3.50 per proof gallon means at 100 proof you're paying $3.50. So 190, and that's per gallon. So the taxes are more on the vodka than even what I cost to make the beer.
Dude, I'll moonshine run for you.
So, since we have it, and since we have our own flavor, and we're making all of our own stuff there, we say, hey, why not? I've got everything else to do it. You might as well just finish it off. So, it should have been done already, but I'm, again, waiting on the federal government to release my license number, and then we have to go to print for the labels, and the labels are really cool. They're nice and metallic, and with the bottles are clear glass, but they're kind of like a craft beer bottle, so I can fit my same machine. But I'm hoping by the end of summer... I'd like to have the vodka out just a little bit before the brew pub, but I'm gonna do the best so we can stock our own bar with our own stuff. So
just so you know, we got another podcast on the chat room. Rob with the Firefly podcast, he's saying hashtag yes vodka. He's in.
What up, Bob?
all right. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
And one last thing that you have going, there's a little building in Clovis.
There is a little building in Clovis. We're planning to seat about 160 people, so it's evolving a little more now. I'm able to tell a little bit more about it. It's not that it's a super secret, but as things get done, you don't want to say something. Someone says, well, you said you're going to do this, and we're done. I'm building the tanks in my shop now. I should be done in about another 3 weeks or so. We're putting a 3-barrel system in it. And then I'm building the tanks that are going in the pub. And then we're going to build the frame. So we call it the Crafty Craft, because I built my brewery myself, too. You guys got to come out. But all of the tanks we built ourselves, and all of the fermenters, all the brew system, everything we built ourselves to brew the beer that we make ourselves. So we nicknamed ourselves, Crafty Craft. Actually, it was the name was given to me by someone else. But so we're doing the same to the pub. So I'm welding up the tanks. I'm supplying a lot of the steel posts on the side. I'm welding up and building the frames for the tanks. That's all going in. It's going behind glass. You can see them. And then we're going to have a nice pub. And my partner on this is Mike Sherinian from the Elbow Room. So
microbrewery.
It's a brew pub, yeah. So we're gonna be brewing. We're gonna bring the beers from the production place.
What's the location?
It's on Temperance and Alluvial.
What's the old building there?
Oh, the Clovis Hofbrau. They went out of business, so I actually had lunch, or actually dinner, with the mayor of Clovis, and he said, "Hey, why don't you guys do something out here?" And
so you just high-speed railed that stuff.
Kind of.
Just took over.
There's a lot just going on, man. There's just a lot going on.
Well, the good news is we're actually sending Vanna out to live tweet and take video of it this weekend.
Yes.
Oh, my brew pub?
I would love that, yeah.
Have you been there?
Hard hat
I have
and all that?
not. That's why I'm
the
super
floors are
stoked about
jackhammered
it.
up. There's dirt everywhere. It'd be perfect. You get a first shot. It's the run the pipelines and everything else.
We need to do that. We need to make that happen.
We're guessing October. I know that it should be around the mid-end of October. We don't know the exact date yet, but we're guessing
October 22nd, my birthday.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Actually, we just don't know the time schedule where it is.
Final things. Where can we find Riley's and steel structures, all that? Final plugs, websites.
Final plugs. Yeah, website steelstructuresinc.com or .us. Riley's Brewing, Riley's Brewing. .com.us. Facebooks are easy to find, both of them. And for Facebook, it's Steel Structures. I think you have to type in Madera because there's a couple others in other states. Riley's has a federal patent, so nobody can use the name Riley's Brewing in all 50 states. And I have trademarks on all of my beers as well, so no one can copy the names. Steel Structures, California corporation. Didn't think about it way back when, so there's other Steel Structures licensed corporations. But Facebooks, websites. My wife has her swag page up there, so you can get some hats and shirts and all that good stuff she makes. And then for the beers, like I said, Costco's got a bunch of it. Save Mart's been really good to us. Food Max has got it. Vaughn's has it. If you go in and you don't see it and they don't have it, ask the store manager. We have heard over and over again, it's just out. They go in the back, there's in the case. But a lot of them, they only have one row at a time, and our stuff will clean out. If they don't have a floor display, they'll clean out that row. We're moving about 5,000 cases a month just in the Central Valley.
Well, I would claim 1,000 in this studio.
What? Yeah. You might be joking on that. I don't know.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Any final things to say from anyone around the room before we close this up?
I was just going to close out my portion of it by saying, Dan, I know that you build the tanks out there, so we could really, really, really endeavor on this moonshine thing, man. You already know how to build the stills. So, and I got some recipes, homespun recipes.
Homespun recipes. Well, right now our recipe is double distilled water, deionized water, RO systems, and then pure clean coming out the back.
I don't know what that means, but I know it's a good night.
It's from the future.
It means it's clean.
The shop is the time machine.
Yeah.
It's organic.
Wow.
All right. Well, next week.
Funny you should mention that. No,
we're gonna have someone in here. I'm actually hoping. I haven't heard back yet, but vape. A local vape owner who's going to be talking about the rapage going on to his company,
the vape
as
rape.
Far as being 21 and over, tobacco lobbyists coming in and attacking and going after them, popcorn lung maybe not being so much of a real thing. all that. Hopefully we'll talk about that. If you ever want to talk about anything, hit us up. It's The Kick. We will chat about anything going on in the Valley, things that affect you, hurt you, or whatever. We're in. And so, Riley, thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And for everyone else, I hope we woke you up at least a little bit. And we'll see you next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to The Kick on Longbox.FM. The opinions expressed on The Kick aren't necessarily those of staff, management, or sponsors. The Kick is written and produced by Chris Dowdy and is a presentation of Longbox.FM.
Ni le bien